Welcome to the Fruitful Faith Women on Mission podcast. This podcast is created for purpose-driven women just like you who crave more. On the Fruitful Faith podcast, you can expect Christ-centered conversations that will help you to cultivate a life that you and He love. We'll be talking about topics that matter, topics that impact your everyday life. We'll talk about anything from how to transition with grace, to what to do when you're overwhelmed, to how to be content and joyful right where God's got you. It's going to be good. Let's dive on in. Hey friend, and welcome back to the Fruitful Faith Women on Mission podcast. I'm Alexandra Cavill. I'm a certified professional life coach and the founder of Grace-Based Christian Coaching. I work with purpose-driven women who crave more and just are looking to live more intentional, prioritized, and Christ-centered lives. So if you're feeling maybe overwhelmed or stuck and are just looking for a change, this is the place for you. I'm so happy that you're here and just want to kick off this episode by wishing you a very happy September. It's so exciting that fall is right around the corner. I know personally, I always love a change of seasons and fresh starts, and especially that much more so concerning everything going on in the world right now. And speaking of new seasons, so if you listen to our last podcast episode, or you maybe follow along on Instagram, and that's at Grace-Based Christian Coaching if you're not already, you've probably seen that our ebook, Side Hustle Success, How to Finally Take the Leap and Live Your Dream, is live. So in our Side Hustle Success ebook, if you're not familiar with it, what I do is spill the details essentially on what I did right, as well as the mistakes that I made, and everything that you need to know to avoid them if you want to take the leap from leaving your 9 to 5 and pursuing whatever that side hustle is full time and saying yes to this next chapter. And so if that sounds like something that you're interested in, as a quick overview, that ebook includes 5 chapters plus 1 bonus chapter that you are not going to want to miss out on. And so the titles of those chapters are first, what I learned from the first year of my side hustle, 15 tips, what you might not expect from your side hustle, the best boss in the whole world, hint, God, the God winks on my journey from corporate to coach, and then 10 things that you want to do before you leave your 9 to 5. And then there's a bonus as well, and it's called Bye to the Big But, B-U-T, but. So that's for any just challenges that you have or barriers you need to break through. That bonus is going to help you get through those. So now that we're into September, our pre-launch for the ebook is officially over, but you can still receive the faith-based affirmations bonus when you purchase your ebook for a limited time. So these are so amazing as they're the affirmations I wrote out that God had given to me, and I spoke over myself minutes before walking into my manager's office to give my 2 weeks notice. So these affirmations are powerful because they're faith-based. They're really transformational and power-packed, essentially. They centered me, they calmed me, and they focused me before having that big conversation. And I know that they would do the same for you. So it's whether before you're going in to share that news, or just really building you up along the way as you prepare for this next step. These truths are going to help you to be as prepared as possible to take your next leap. So if you want to learn more about it, head on over to gracebasedchristiancoaching.com/ebook. And then the quickest way to grab your copy, if you're hearing this and you're like, oh my goodness, I needed that yesterday, send me an email. You can email me directly at gracebasedchristiancoaching@gmail.com. And then what I'll do is send you an invoice. And as soon as I receive your payment, I'll get you your ebook and the bonus. So since we're in launch week for the ebook, we officially launched. It lives in our Grace-Based Christian Coaching shop. You're going to want to go check that out on the website if you haven't already. There are a couple of different awesome tools you can purchase in there, as well as free resources too. So what I thought it'd be fun to do is to feature one more episode on side hustles before we transition back to the regular breakthrough content for this season, if you will. So what we're going to do today is dive into the highlights from the recent Facebook Live on side hustles. The Facebook Live just got such amazing feedback. So many of you who have attended really got a lot out of that. And the thought here today is that I know some of you, we all like to consume content in different ways. Sometimes video can be a favorite way to do that. And sometimes podcasts are easy, right? Because we can multitask during them at times, and they're simple. So if you want to get this content through podcast, this this episode is for you. Essentially, we're going to, again, just be talking about if you're looking to make the transition, what is going to help you do that well, and what might be holding you back so that you can just step forward in a big and powerful way. So that's essentially what we're going to be going over today. I can't wait for you to have so many breakthroughs as we dig into these questions and just hopefully get you thinking deeper or differently about some pretty big topics that you might not have before. All right, so let's dive on in. Okay, so I'm guessing many of you are probably familiar with the term side hustle, right? It's popular and it's popular for good reason. So a lot of the women I work with, a lot of my clients, and maybe you too, have a primary job, but perhaps also have something on the side that you pour into. So as we think about that, we think about side hustles. They can absolutely be some of the most fulfilling, creative, rewarding aspects of our lives. Even there's so much joy and purpose and passion that goes into side hustles. So, today, the big thing is we're going to be digging into how you might be feeling led to pursue your side hustle in a greater capacity. And we're going to help you to figure out how to make that happen. Okay, so if you're maybe getting tired of the commute or not because we're in COVID, maybe you are getting tired, let's say, of this same challenges at work. What is it in your 9 to 5 that gets under your skin and just has you coming home or shutting out that computer at the end of the day and thinking, why do I keep doing this to myself? And maybe you find yourself daydreaming of what it would be like to do something different. Maybe you daydream about what it would be like to leave the 9 to 5. Perhaps you'd like to turn your side hustle into your main thing, or maybe you would love to see God's hand in your journey towards living out your calling, your purpose, your giftings. So maybe there was something in there that really connected with you and it was spot on. And the question for you, oh, and if you're somewhat new to the GSCC Fruitful Faith Women on Mission podcast, what I'd encourage you to do is grab your favorite cute notebook and a pen that you love. Or if you are on the go, open up your phone notes app. And there are going to be some key coaching questions throughout this podcast episode and other ones that I'll ask that will hopefully help get you thinking deeper so that you can move forward in big and powerful ways. So, the first question for you to consider is, what is God convicting you to start or to make bigger progress on? So, maybe some of you guys listening don't have a side hustle, but you're intrigued by the idea. What might he be leading you towards? Or if you are already doing the thing, what about that thing are you being called to make big progress on? Take a moment, identify it. That's going to be powerful. Us busy ladies have a lot going on, and it's hard to kind of quiet the noise and figure out what to focus. So, hopefully, this is going to help you do just that. And bonus points if you name that thing aloud. Writing it into existence, that's going to be powerful to see it on paper or in your phone. Even better, say it. Say it aloud. So, what I know though that can happen sometimes in this side hustle process is the heartbreaking feeling of being stuck. So, this paralyzing feeling can occur for just so many different reasons. Maybe it's because there are just so many steps to making that thing happen. I mean, I totally get that. I guess I made the leap relatively quickly, but it was still over a year before I decided to do that. Building a business is not for the faint of heart. I remember maybe some of you are familiar with Jenna Kutcher. She has an excellent podcast for business owners, the Goal Digger podcast, GOAL. And one of the things I remember she said is that if you knew everything that it would take going into it on the front end, that you might not have the courage, bravery, or wherewithal to say yes. It's a lot. It is a lot. But God, but God. Or maybe you're feeling stuck because you feel like you aren't equipped. Maybe you feel like you don't have the skills. You were not built for this. But what I would encourage you here is that we're not doing it through our strength. The way that it can be successful is to operate through God's strength. Or maybe you aren't feeling qualified. Maybe there's the thought, the comparison is kind of sneaking into your head, and you're thinking, well, she, he, all of these people are already doing that thing in a different way, so why should I do it? the market's already saturated and I just don't know if it's worth my time and effort. And in some senses, that might be valid, but in a lot of other senses, maybe the challenge is to think a little bit differently here. God created you with a unique voice, unique set of experiences that only you can deliver to the world. You have a story that's different from anyone else's, and the way that you say it and the way that you share it is going to speak to a specific audience and to specific women. So be encouraged by that. Be encouraged by that. So the question here is, what is getting in the way for you? Take a second to think about that. What is getting in the way for you to make in regards to making progress on your side hustle? What do you seem to be constantly butting up against? So now we get to the big picture. We get to talk about that. So, a couple of powerful questions to consider here as we go from kind of what are the challenges, what do we want to focus on, or what is holding us back? So, as we kind of think bigger, a few questions for you here. One is, who are you serving through your side hustle? Especially on those hard days, it's so important to have those people front of mind. Better yet, think specifically of one or two individuals. Have specific people pop into your mind to make it that much more real when you are having a difficult day, and that's going to drive you forward. So you want to, there's plenty of exercises out there on ideal clients. And sometimes that can elicit an eye roll. But what I will say is when you do have clarity on that person, everything can change. I've heard something along the lines of if you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. And that is the truth. So find your people, love them hard. The next question is, how are you positively impacting their lives through whatever it is that you're doing or you would like to do? So consider essentially like, what's the so what? With your side hustle, what makes it so important? How does what you're going to do or what you're doing leave people better than you found them? And then how are you or how could you perhaps impact God's kingdom through your work? So this is a big one. This is like the ultimate, right? What is the legacy you are leaving with whatever this passion is? We can't bring things with us from earth, right? What comes with us has to be of eternal value. So, how get curious? How is what you're doing or what you want to do? How might that impact God's kingdom? How might that create a lasting legacy? Awesome. Okay, so now as we pivot, and we're going to talk about what could help you moving forward. So, we're going to dig into three main points here. These are some points that really kind of jumped out to me in the side hustle process that were really pivotal that I didn't figure out right away. But once I did, they made a world of difference. And so I want to share them with you and share them with you now so that hopefully you can move forward even faster and with less heartache. So the first one is create your definition of success. So for me and my business, ultimately, probably unsurprisingly with that last question, instead of numbers, right? Numbers, so many people focus on numbers in the beginning phase of their side hustle. You might find success as being based off the number of clients you have. Maybe success is based off the number of Instagram followers you have. Maybe you're looking at your sales. And if you hit a certain sales goal, you're a success. If not, you missed the mark. And that, numbers, yeah, they're definitely important. They're indicators. I have a monthly scorecard for my business, and numbers are part of it. But here's the thing, numbers don't always tell you the whole story or equal success. So, what I did here was instead of maybe measuring success purely by numbers, I ultimately started looking at success as how I was serving others. How was I bringing them closer to God, essentially? And that is what was a game changer in the business. That's what made it a joy. So ultimately for me in my business, success was about making an impact for God and his kingdom. It was to essentially support through grace-based Christian coaching. It's to support women in living their most intentional lives while more fully loving God, themselves, and others. So it's about them, but it's also about God and his kingdom. So take a minute for you and list out for your side hustle now or what it might be. How will you measure success? How will you define success for what your side hustle is now or what you'd like it to be? And as believers, our definition of success is and probably should be different from the world. So think about that. I hope this is really transformational for you, that one. All right, friend. So the next one is get clear on who it is that you want to serve. So I know we kind of touched on this, but if you really want to create a side hustle that you are on fire about, you want to find your people. So a starting point can be to consider, what gifts has God given you and who specifically can they serve? So kind of connected, but kind of different. Another way to consider this is through a quote. It's one of my all-time favorite quotes. And it says, the place where God calls you to is the place where your deep passion and the world's deep hunger meet. This is by Frederick Buechner. It's also said in another way, like your vocation, right? So what you do, it's where your deep passion, or sometimes it's even said your deep hunger and the world's deep need meet. So essentially, where is what you're passionate about, what you love, your gifting is, where does that intersect with what the world needs? And that is your sweet spot. So think about that for a moment for you. What is that? What might that be? And then what do you do, when you find your people? So think about who your people are based on perhaps the world's needs and your skill set. And then once you find them, you want to, like I said before, you want to love them hard, engage with them, encourage them, inspire them, teach them, and share, and perhaps even most importantly, listen. What do they have to say? What do they need? And how can you fill that gap? So the question for you in this section, friend, is, who are your people? One. And then two, this is a good one. What is one way, right? Coaching is action oriented. So let's do the thing. What is one way you would like to serve your people in the next 2 weeks? Who are your people? What's one way that you feel like God might be calling you to serve them well in the next 2 weeks? Put it on your calendar. Make it happen. And I would even adore hearing what that thing is. Seriously, anytime, feel free to DM me at Grace-Based Christian Coaching over on Instagram. I would love to hear from you. Okay, number 3. Oh, this is such an awesome one. And it is the idea of creation over consumption. So when I had started my business, I fell into a cycle, and it was with a good heart, of taking it all in and trying to do all of the things. I felt like I needed to know it all. I wanted to get all of the information I could before taking action. If you've ever heard of the term analysis paralysis, it's kind of what it was like. I felt like I was consuming as much as I could, just wanted to know all of the things to do the best job possible that I could, but it was leaving me burnt out instead of filled up. And then, as I'm sure you've experienced yourself, when you consume a lot, the challenge of comparison also arises, and that can be paralyzing. We all know that comparison, it can steal our confidence. It's the thief of joy, and it can also inhibit your ability to take action. So, learn from my mistake. You probably saw this coming, but the thought here, friend, is to log off, unplug, unplug from the world, plug into God, and start creating. Creation over consumption. So if you have something going on, you're looking to do something big with God, He is the ultimate inspiration. He and His Word have all of the information that we need to know to be successful. So as you think about that, from a practical perspective, yes, we want to set goals and deadlines. We want to be accountable for our time. and we want to stay consistent. So, as you think about this creation over consumption, the question for you here is to perhaps list out, what is one goal that you have for creation for your current or your potential future side hustle. Let's give you a longer time frame here, in the next 30 days. So if you're listening to this now, it's the beginning of September, maybe by the end of the month. What is one creation goal for your side hustle that would help to move it forward? So maybe it's creating a blog post. Maybe you've got the website up, but no content on it yet. That's okay. Maybe it's creating your first blog post. Perhaps the website is still an idea. Perhaps it's grabbing a template, creating an outline for what needs to go on it. Or maybe you want to grow your email list, and you want to create a freebie or resource of sorts to provide to serve people well who are sharing their precious email with you. And so maybe it's creating a resource worksheet to provide for them when they say yes to joining your email list. Whatever it is, what is that one goal in regards to creation for your side hustle? Write that down. And then last but not least, consider, what is the biggest barrier that might get in the way as you work to move forward? So for some of us, maybe it's time. Maybe we have 1,001 things on our plates, and it just doesn't even seem like we can squeeze another hour in, let alone 10 minutes. And maybe that's the biggest challenge. Maybe it's mindset. Maybe it's head junk. Perhaps it's thinking those things like, well, they're already doing it. What's the point? Or I just am not going to have the confidence to share about this. So just forget it. So, whatever that thing is, identify it, right? When we shine light on it, the darkness dispels, and consider what is it that you will do to make progress and overcome. Get creative here. I know you have it in you. How might you even take a baby step to make progress and make this scary thing seem a little bit less daunting? Okay, friend, that essentially wraps us up towards the end of today. Still have a little bit more fun stuff for you, but one thing before we do that is this is something I'll ask at the end of every coaching session. I'm going to ask it for this podcast too. Is looking back at your notes, reflecting back at reflecting back on what we talked about. What was your most valuable takeaway from today? What stood out to you in the biggest way? What are you committing to? Put a star by that, write that out, pop it in your calendar, whatever you need. There you go. So I hope you're feeling a bit more focused and jazzed up about what is next. A side hustle is a beautiful thing, and growing it is such a beautiful thing too. And if you're doing it with God at the center, it's going to be an incredibly growth based, sanctifying process where you will learn so much about yourself and going deeper with your faith if you let it. It's one of the best adventures personally that I've taken with God. I'm so glad that I didn't miss out on it, and I don't want you to miss out on yours too. And even more importantly, serving the people that He has purposed you to serve. It's just one of the best things ever, just for you and for them in your relationship with God. It's really, really sweet and precious. So, if you like today, if you want to check out more, if this has been helpful for you, what I'd encourage you to do is check out our Side Hustle Success, How to Take the Leap and finally live your dream ebook. I share the scoop on what went well in my transition from taking my side hustle part-time to full-time and what I wish I'd done differently. And then to answer a couple quick Q&As for that have been coming up, that could be helpful if you've got a little bit of a question mark. One is this ebook. You've got lifetime access to it. So a lot of online resources, the link will expire after a certain amount of days. I'm going to send this to you direct as a PDF, so you can access it at any time. And it's brief. I know so many of the ladies I work with, you have 101 things going on, so this is going to be easy for you. It's 26 pages. So there's good, meaty, heavy content in there that is going to be so useful for you, but it's also short enough that if you wanted to print it out, you could do that. And someone had asked you, is this more of an action-based or mindset-based resource? And the answer here is it's truly both. Hopefully, as you can see through the podcast today, that's really how you're going to get to your best solution, is when you're kind of attacking it from both sides for the most part. And the ebook does just that. It addresses specific action steps that you can take to make the transition work for you. And then it also includes pieces about mindset so that you can get thinking differently and thinking bigger than you have been before. And then someone else had asked, is this for people who are new, who are just starting out their side hustles? Or is it for people who have been doing this for a while now? And what I'll add is that it could be valuable for either. So I wrote it about a year or two into my business. So if you're new starting out, it's going to just help and benefit you to move forward faster. And if you've been in it for a while, but you still haven't taken the leap, this is kind of going to be your secret back pocket tool that is going to just help propel you forward in a super powerful way. So if it sounds like something that you want to get, you can hop to gracebasechristiancoaching.com/ebook to purchase yours. I just hope today was so powerful for you that you're walking away feeling energized and focused, and just so excited to partner with God on these next steps. Oh, and before we wrap, one more celebration. So I was looking at stats on our Anchor. Anchor is the platform that I use for this podcast. And it was so fun to see that at this point, there have been over 4,500 unique downloads of our episodes for the Fruitful Faith Women on Mission podcast. So, all that to say, thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in, for coming back. Again, the main point here is to just impact you and your lives and your relationship with the Lord. And I just hope, and my prayer is that each time you pop me in your earbuds, that is exactly what's happening. And so if this has impacted your life in any way, I would love for you to hop on over to iTunes and take a minute to leave a review. It would be such a blessing if you wouldn't mind sharing your heart of how this podcast has really perhaps changed things for you. You know that stories and testimonials, especially ones that connect to faith, I mean, they can be totally life-changing, not only for the people who read them, but as we write them and share them too. So if you did that, that would just be such a help and encouragement so that I can see how this is impacting you and what you love most so that I can create the most valuable content to serve you well on your journey with the Lord. I'm so grateful for each of you, and I'm just so excited for what's to come. And thanks so much for tuning in today. Till next time. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Fruitful Faith Women on Mission podcast. If you love this episode, I would love for you to subscribe. New episodes will automatically show up on your phone when you subscribe. It's super convenient, and you'll make sure you never miss a thing. So excited to share more with you soon.